And so that's something we're figuring out, playing with. I don't know how it would actually work right now, but our legal counsel is working on that. Anything we can do to expand the number of students that are eligible to the state grant and to give them a bigger award would be helpful. In addition, holding our institutions accountable for graduation rates, and then examining when our dollars are going towards an institution, does that institution end up having their graduates get jobs, and jobs at the right price to pay off the debt? And so there's actually, I don't know if you followed this at the national level, there's been a whole controversy that Senator Harkin did this big analysis over the for-profits and the amount of debt these kids come out from these for-profits and then can't get good jobs. And so it's really, you could say a shame or criminal, depending on how you look at it. So, so we're tackling those issues, and I feel very strongly that we need to do something for these young people, and we need to change the trajectory for higher ed costs in the future. And so today we had the most amazing committee. The woman who was the founder of this program company called Coursera, Stanford professor, you may have read about this MOOCs, yes, massive online course catalog where they, professors from Stanford and MIT and Harvard, they're teaching these online courses that are having amazing results, and they're free. And so now we in Minnesota, it'll be on the news tonight, that we're taking a first step. We had this little flaw in our law that said you couldn't even offer them in Minnesota free courses without us charging the university. So we're fixing that, and now we're going to look at where do we go from here? How can we help get these courses to be able to be credit bearing, so that we can actually, imagine if students could have a blended learning opportunity, where you wouldn't do that for all your courses, but if you could take some of them in that way. So those are some of the things we're playing with. In K-12, the big push is early childhood, if there was, any investments. And
what are the prospects for that?
Again, everything all depends on, one, what we end up doing with our overall tax reform and what gets generated out of that, what we can find to cut our spending, and where then, that all, and that's what I put, our first couple sentences in my newsletter last week said that I think we do it so backwards, because here we're evaluating all these choices, but we don't have a target. So I know when I was in a corporation, I was really trained. I'd say my best training was when I was at Tonka Toys, and you had to prepare 3 complete budgets for the whole division. It had to be a low budget, like you missed your sales goal by a huge amount, a middle, like you made it, and then a stretch. And you had to have every single thing you were going to do be, figured out 3 different ways, and so then you'd at least have a plan. We don't do it that way in government. Every chair puts together this whole big thing, and then you put them all together, and then you say, oh, we don't have that money. Oh, back to the drawing board. So, frustrating.
Yes. A couple comments on
Yep.
the debt. Part of that is because there are a lot of students that come into post-high school education that really cannot do college or technical college level work. So they're coming in, they're finding out perhaps for the first time that their reading, their writing, and their math skills are not up to par, and then they're taking classes that they can't pass, and they get discouraged when they leave college, or they end up staying in college longer because they didn't have the skills to get in there. So part of that is preparation prior to even entering college. There's a lot of passing when people shouldn't be passing, and grade inflation, and et cetera. And then, not to be too nitpicky, but nothing is free.
Right.
So don't think that MOOCs are free.
Right.
Somebody's paying for their technology, somebody's paying for the professor's time to put the class together, for them to be there and present the material, et cetera.
We explore that, like what is your business model? Where are you really getting your money? So, point well taken. Thank you.
The graduation and the
one of the things we're excited about the MOOCs is actually remediation is a potential use for MOOCs, because some of those algebra courses, like So we're trying to work with the K-12 system to identify kids that are not yet ready earlier, so then we can say, you need to take this, you can take it online free. You need to take it so that when you get to college, you don't have to pay for that class. And that is one of the biggest issues we're talking about in our committee. You're right on.
And then there's some schools that are using Khan Academy to teach the math lesson, and then the teachers just roam around the room just to help the students out.
What's it called?
Khan Academy, K-A-H-N.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, it's on 60 Minutes a day.
Thank you. Okay, I can see Sean's taking notes.
Yep.
He's very good, by the way.
Yeah.
He's an outstanding
Yes.
legislative assistant. Yes,
I actually came here tonight to address something that's not even on the agenda,
okay.
but definitely take notes. Because I was hoping that you could sponsor a bill to help solve a problem. I'm a co-executor of the state.
Okay.
One of the beneficiaries of this state who's gonna inherit money is a deadbeat on child support. Something that I discovered that kinda shocked me. They sent and I have to pay a certain amount of money to child support, which I'm for. I also wanted to finish paying the child support out because they'll never get a dime out of this deadbeat ever. So I sent the check in, only what was owed and what would be owed. They sent it back. You cannot prepay child support.
Wow.
They will not accept prepaid child support.
Huh.
Dead serious.
Unbelievable.
And that's Hennepin County, Anoka, and also contacted the state child support collection agency. So I look at it this way, these estates, these people that aren't paying child support are gonna, a lot of them are gonna inherit money. I think that's great that they're gonna pull that money for the child.
Yeah.
I believe in that. I also believe that when you do the bill, they should also take what's owed until the child's 18 or graduated from high school, get the whole thing.
Right.
Because that's the only way you're ever gonna get it.
Yeah.
Especially out of this deadbeat
Yeah.
that I'm dealing with.
I
And
hear ya. That's very interesting. We'll look
They
into
will not
it.
accept it.
Very strange.
Yeah, they sent it back. They just don't want
Talk
it.
about bureaucracy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations for you taking that initiative to say you want to be complete with that obligation and do what's right. And so you're a
Yep.
great dad.
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all of us, our money between 50 and 100,000 is going to be spent now for the next 5 to 10 years to collect a measly $4,000. They're going to spend easily 50 to 100,000 between lawyers' costs, dragging his butt into jail, taking his license, throwing him back out, dragging him in. It's just an ending
It's a
cycle.
mess.
It is.
I got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
I found one just about as good as that. I'm a CPA, I have a client whose wife was, had lost her job, she started drawing unemployment. Then she became ineligible for unemployment. In fact, got too much money. And her husband tried to find out how he could pay that back. And he gets on the phone with somebody and says, don't worry about it. And he says, I wanna know if it's gonna cost me, is it gonna cost me interest or penalties by waiting, or what's gonna happen here? And the response was, I said, don't worry about it. Where he was ready to write a check, he and her. his
And you just
wife
know it's because they
could
don't have a
financially-
mechanism to take the check. And that's, I mean, but that's just
He had the money,
bureaucratic.
he could afford to pay it very easily.
Wow.
Wanted to do it, and that's the kind of response he get.
Yeah. Bureaucracy. I hear you. Thank you. So we have to find ways to, to use common sense. Thank you. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming, and those of you who, I don't know if you have something on your mind.
Well, I do. I'll just mention it quickly. It impacts about a dozen Plymouth residents.
Okay.
I'm a violinist in a Minnesota orchestra, and we've been locked out for 4.5 months. And the financial impact on the community is enormous. And the legislature has given bonding money for a building structure to be renovated. And the Legacy Arts Amendment also has given the orchestra lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
But we can't even work, and our audience is begging us to play, and there are no talks. And if you and your fellow legislators and hold their feet to the fire in some way. Public money is given, but we are not able to work. And
Thank you.
at least a dozen of us live in Plymouth.
Yeah, I know Richard.
Yeah, we're not spending money this year. And there are a lot of people, a lot of, school bus children concerts that are done in January, February, March, and April, and we're not doing any of those.
You know, it's funny, cause I get some things from the orchestra and, you know, like, oh, and I just feel so, it's like, oh, I don't wanna open that, I'm mad. I just want it to work out. So if I hear you, thank you for bringing that
If the
forward.
legislature has any pressure they can bring to bear, it would help.
Thank you. Bring the governor on, get everybody together. Thank you. Yeah,
Sorry, say one
you
thing.
guys, why'd you wait till 1 minute before?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to further, urge your support in the 511 bill. It was just introduced to the Senate
Okay.
this week. It's already in the House.
Who's carrying it, you know?
The author is Senator Kathy Sheeran.
Oh, she's great, great.
Yeah.
You got a great author.
Yep, and,
Okay.
it will remove the written, agreement between physician and advanced practice nurse, allowing the advanced practice nurse to practice in settings that do not necessarily include a physician.
Yeah.
It's already been enacted in 17 states as well as the District of Columbia. And, it, you know, as a future graduate,
Yeah.
it makes Minnesota an unattractive place to practice, having
Yeah.
that unnecessary barrier. And Minnesota needs all the primary care providers. that-
We do,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you for going into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, it's great to have all of you here and to have this conversation. Thank you for coming. Okay.